All right, awesome. So, everybody, thank you for joining today. We are officially rolling out Choice AI, which is our AI platform, uh, just for Choice for everything we do, all of our information, all of our agents. It's a contained ecosystem just for you guys. And we've got Maximo here today with BrokerBot. So, BrokerBot is the platform that we're using to bring this to you. So, Maximo is going to go through a demo of the product, kind of show you what it can do. Then we'll open it up for Q&As. And I'll also either have him show or I'll take over and show um, how, like, we've uploaded, for instance, the due diligence fee data into the system. And so, we've always sent you the spreadsheet that has all of that data on it. This is now a platform where that data is synthesized on the back end. You can go in like you're accustomed to with Chat GPT or whatever you use and say, hey, what's the average due diligence fee in carry? And it will recognize that. It will pull the data for you and present it to you, and ask you if you want follow-up information about it. So there are things like that. If you are at the office and forget the Wi-Fi password, it will have that for you, and so much more. I'm giving you like the most basic level stuff. But with that, I'll shut up and allow Maximo to take over.
Thanks so much for the introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm Maximo Gomez. I'm the Director of Customer Success here at BrokerBot.ai. I've also been in the real estate industry for 18 years. I'm an associate broker and mortgage loan originator as well. So if you guys ever have questions or anything, I do speak real estate, so I can follow along. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and screen share and talk to you a little bit more about what we have built and about your new AI assistant. So at the time of receiving, or at the time of this meeting, you all will have received a invitation to join your team. And the team is going to say you've been invited to join Choice Residential Real Estate, and it's in your email. So if you guys can go ahead and find that invitation, and I'll walk you guys through the login process. The way that I typically do these rollouts is I'll get you guys logged in. I'm going to explain what the system does and what it is, and then how it's different than other AI tools and systems. And then I'm going to give you some basic use cases, and then I'm going to give you guys more and more fun and more interesting use cases as we go along here. So, this is what the screen looks like when you log in for the first time. It should be familiar to you all that are familiar with AI systems and tools. So, it's going to look just like this. And if you guys could all just go ahead and accept your invitations, the first thing that you're going to do is go down here to the bottom left when you log in. And if you can't find your invitation, that's okay. You can always go to brokerbot.ai and log in with the email address that you have on file with your brokerage. Okay. So I'm going to go down here to my profile. And the first thing that we want you to do is verify your phone number. And that's because you can talk to your assistant. It has voice capabilities and also text messaging capabilities. So you can actually go through, you can send it text messages, you can have full conversations with it. And once you verify your phone number, it's able to access all of the documents and materials that have been uploaded by your leadership, by Brian here, and give you more accurate responses. And it's also going to be able to transcribe your entire conversations and put them into your platform and your chat history. That way, you can continue talking to it and working with it wherever you left off, whenever you're back on your cell phone or on your computer. So, first step, go ahead and log in and then verify your phone number. So it has this green check mark, and then go ahead and assign your time zone. I'm just going to pause for like 15 seconds here and give you guys a chance to go ahead, log in. Remember, you click on profile, and then there you will be. Okay. I'm just going to give you guys a second to do that. Okay. Step next is this is your hotline number. This is a phone number that's been provisioned specifically for you and your brokerage. And this is the number that you can call, text, send even pictures to. Like if you have a contract or something right in front of your face, and you're filling it out and you're not sure what to put down on line 42 of the buyer broker agreement or something like that, you can take a picture and you can even text it to this phone number and ask, hey, what do I put down on this buyer broker agreement? I forgot what I'm supposed to fill out here. Or do we have any sort of minimum commission requirements on our listing agreements that I need to fill out? Or what does this additional clause mean in my purchase contract? And it can read all of those things. So go ahead and save this to your phones. The phone number is 984-299-0256. I'll go ahead and put this in the chat real quick here. That is 984-299-0256. And just save it in your phone as Choice AI. There it is. All right, I see some of you guys. Looks like everyone's got that done. Perfect. All right. So let me walk you
And
through the platform now.
Maxima, real quick, for anyone
Yeah.
who is not finding the invitation, do you want me to just send a list later? Do you want me to? I think I can go in and send invitations or resend myself. So if that's true, then I'll just keep track. If you can't find your invitation, just put it in the chat there. Let me know, and I'll keep that list and we'll get it out to you.
Yeah, Brian,
Yeah.
my email was not found. I tried to log in through that's Nadia.
Got it. Okay, we'll get that resent to you.
And sometimes what happens is that agents have changed their email addresses since they originally joined the brokerage. So the brokerage email address on file may be different than the one you're trying to log in with. So that happens sometimes, but we'll get you logged in. All right. So let's go through the platform. So the first thing is that those of you who have used AI, this type of interface should be familiar to you. We did make this kind of very similar to like the other chatbots like OpenAI and ChatGPT, but our system is different in that it's not just another ChatGPT overlay. It's actually sourcing from over 500 different AI and LLM models in one system. And what we're doing is we're doing all the heavy lifting for you so that you don't have to pick and choose between the different AI products. And that's because some AI systems do better at analysis, and some do better at data extraction, and some do better at having conversations. And so we wanted to give you accessibility to all of those tools without having to switch between, 10 different AI platforms. So you're getting access to ChatGPT, the highest level enterprise version. You're getting access to Perplexity, Grok, Gemini, Claude Sonnet, Opus. All of those models are built in right here into the platform, and you don't have to do anything except talk to it and upload materials and have it be analyzed. The second thing that we did was we wanted to create a safe environment for you guys to actually upload contracts and sensitive materials. So this is a closed system. If you're using an external platform, like, just ChatGPT, and you haven't changed any of your settings or privacy settings, that information can be used as training data, and it can actually expose your client's private information.
This thing is like overflowing.
So, so our system is actually a safe environment for you to go ahead, upload materials and contracts, and not worry about it being shared with like a third party or anything like that. Okay. The other thing that we did was some of you may have experienced what's called hallucinations, right? When you're conversing with an AI platform and it just kind of makes up information and it's like, oh yeah, this is the correct answer, right? That's not what we want to use in a platform where we're dealing with such sensitive information all the time and people's livelihoods. We can't have the system hallucinating and just making up responses. So what we've done is we've mitigated that by reducing the temperature settings. So we're more based, we've tempered down all of the AIs, and we've told them that we're more interested in factual information than just being happy and friendly and overly conversive. So we've actually mitigated that down, and we've proven mathematically that the system is actually so accurate that we have our own underwritten E&O policy. that goes along with the product. And that's a first for the AI industry that I've ever heard, and first for any AI for real estate as well. So we're very proud of that fact. The other thing is that the first source of truth, whenever you ask it a question, is always going to be the knowledge center. So it's always going to search your knowledge center that's been built out and provisioned by leadership here, and it has all of these documents and materials to see if the answer is within any of the documentation here in the Knowledge Center first. So it'll always check the Knowledge Center first, and then it's going to check to see if there's been any trainings or direct instructions provided by leadership to provide a more refined response. So in this way, the more you use it, the more you interface with it, the more it's going to learn from you and the smarter it's going to get. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing different examples with you now. First off, you're going to see these 4 tiles. You don't have to click on these tiles to say perform preliminary contract review. That is just, it is a specific workflow and a process that engages the platform. So you can always just click, drag, and drop a contract right here and additional documents and just say, I want to have this contract analyzed, or did I make any errors or mistakes? The same thing with photorealistic image generation. You don't have to click on the tile in order for it to create photos for you. And just teaser real quick, it can do virtual staging, and it can do virtual staging very well. So I'm going to show you some examples there too. And then if you want to, you can always hit this plus button, and the plus button actually opens up your file explorer so you can upload any sort of contracts, materials, CC&Rs, anything like that. And those of you that speak multiple languages, good news. Our system speaks dozens of languages. So it actually speaks Spanish, French, Italian, German, Russian. And we even found out it speaks Yiddish the other day, which is really cool too. So it can speak any of those languages. Just type into it in whatever international keyboard you want, or talk to it, and it can actually respond in kind. So that's a lot of fun for a lot of our international users or those working with international clients. So let me show you what this thing can do. Firstly, let's test out the preliminary contract review package. So if you click that tile and you upload a contract, let's say it looks something like this. It's a single PDF. Now remember, you can upload multiple PDFs. You can upload up to 10 PDFs per chat currently. And so in this example, this is a combined fully executed contract package. This is an Arizona Association of Realtor contract package where I practice real estate here. It has the typical forms, like all of the data, has the counteroffer, the HOA addendum, the purchase contract, and there's even sections in here that call out that the earnest money is non-refundable after the due diligence inspection period. Some other elements to it that are a little bit unique, and it has the buyer's pre-qualification information. So when I click that button and I uploaded the document, then it performs a comprehensive review. And when I go through it, you can see that it's identifying all of the forms that are separated within that single compiled document. So it's first doing analysis and segmenting the documents we've uploaded. Then it performs party analysis. It does it identifies all of the parties of the transaction, and then it performs date reconciliation, provides some feedback, makes sure it's a ratified purchase contract fully executed, and then it starts calling out other items that are against our file turn in checklist. It's saying, hey, you still have to submit some additional documents, and there's some missing sections in the documents that have been filled out. But here's where it starts to really get different than other AI systems. Because we've trained it on real estate and real estate contracts, and it's gone through tens of thousands of iterations of analysis on these, it's able to give us actionable insights to what are outliers in the typical contract. So first off, it caught that the seller is actually an estate seller. So when there's an estate seller, those of us who've been in the real estate industry for a while, we understand we need to get the letter of personal authorization, or a letter of representation, or maybe the article of organization if it's an entity, right? So this is already giving us that helpful insight. It says that one of the forms actually had the estate of Carolyn S. Taylor written down, so we need to get that letter of representation to the title company. The other thing it starts to identify is that there was that clause written in about the earnest money being non-refundable, right? So it catches that information too, and then it starts sharing some other helpful info and feedback here. And I get it. This is a lot of stuff to read. Not all of us want to read all of this information. But I can always just say, give me a concise summary breakdown of what I need to know or fix, make it super brief. Now I've got just a bullet point action list right here of all of that section. So, you know, just remember that even those of you that are high Ds, you guys are salespeople, we get it. And, you can always just get that analysis right here. Just tell it to break it down in a concise way. No problem. It can leverage that with you. The other cool thing is that because it has that interface with your phone, you can even say, text me a brief summary of that information, and it will actually send you a text message of those details too. So the next way that people are leveraging it, again, this is more of a basic use case, but super handy and very time saving, is the ability for it to analyze and review CC&Rs, deed restrictions, and other similar materials. So what we've done is you can upload documents that look similar to this, right? And when you see this, you can see that it's very dirty, it's scuffed up, it's hard to read. So a typical AI system may struggle in analyzing the contents here. Normally, most systems will use what's called OCR, and that would be able to pull the information from documents like this. But our system and those systems cannot typically pull information from something that's this dirty. So what we did was we built in what's called computer vision. So our system can actually extract information and data from this and give you actionable and helpful information back. So you can upload those documents. You can say, give me a summary. Or in this case, I just asked, can I park an RV here? And while other systems may require you to say, tell me the exact section where I can find the details about recreational vehicles, and then give me a breakdown of when they can and can't park it, and all of those things, you can literally just say, can I park an RV here? And that's because what we've done is we've built in prompt augmentation into the system. So it actually optimizes your prompt. So you just talk to it like a human being, and it's going to do a good job at answering your questions. And if you ever get frustrated, just reiterate or change it and talk to it like it's a person. So here I've added in, you can see it identifies the article and section, and then parking and storage is prohibited. So then I could say, great, text me a summary of this information, make it concise. It sends me the text message. I can forward that text message to my clients, and I can forward them the CC&Rs and say they can review it if they'd like. And now all of a sudden, with this specific workflow right here, I'm saving maybe 30 minutes a day just for one client in conducting analysis across multiple properties in advance. So this immediately starts giving me time savings and benefits right off the cuff. I'm going to pause before I dive into some of the more exciting use cases and check out. There's a few questions in the chat. Looks like there was a question about the neighborhood docs. Now, Vance, the way that I typically do it and recommend is that what we do is we ask the title company, right, for that research in advance and say if they have any recorded information or CC&Rs and deed restrictions, or if maybe the listing agent has the deed restrictions or HOA docs, then I'll upload it into the system in advance. So that way I can conduct the research before I actually take my client out to visit the property that may not even, be available. Now I'm reaching out. Let me see. There
Can
was
I just
another.
Yeah, can I just add on to that real quick too? I mean,
Yeah.
the idea of going into like a county register of deeds and searching and finding the restrictive covenants, that gets into like agentic AI, which is not something that the industry hasn't evolved to really make that accessible to everybody yet, through something like this. So I would imagine as AI is changing, this uh things like that will become, if we look 2 years from now, look backwards, like there will be a lot more that can happen on that front. You certainly can ask AI to kind of help you figure out how to navigate county systems, and it may give you some guidance on doing that, but every county is different, and the way like neighborhoods are listed on county documents doesn't always match up, so it'd be very difficult to do that, just like it's difficult for you to find them. It's difficult right now for that to happen. But that is stuff that is on everybody's mind who's building stuff like this on, how can you ask that question? Hey, find me the restrictive covenants for Lockmere and Cary, and it goes and does that for you. We're not there yet. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Thanks, Brian. And that is actually one of our items that we're trying to solve too.
Yeah.
So I see that coming in the future. Yeah.
Well, a lot of you know that I have been working on this type of thing for a while, and that's why when I came across this company, I got really excited because they've built the thing that was in my head for so long, and so I'm pumped about what they're doing. The next question was about dot loop and can it be connected to dot loop? So you just want to speak on that for a second?
Yeah, so right now it cannot connect to Dotloop. We are in conversations with SkySlope as well as Dotloop. The idea, right, that everyone wants it to an AI assistant to just call and say, "Hey, write this offer for me," and that is something we are absolutely working towards too. But the technology and the interconnected interfaces, they're not quite there yet either. So, but we are working hard to move towards that direction as well. So we'll get there eventually. And now okay, but as agents, we want add restrictive covenants such then the information will become available to all choice agents. The only, Jen, I think that's a great idea, but the only concern that I have with that is that, and I've done rollouts about 150 times now with brokerages across the nation. And I get that question quite a bit. The challenge that we have there is the information that's been uploaded by the agent, is it fully compiled? Is there any new amendments that are included or not included? Which is why I typically recommend you reach out to like the title company or have someone else provide that information and then you leverage it that way. Because we don't want to be the source, right? We always want to be the source of the information. And so doing something like that could potentially make us the source. So.
Yeah, I just comment early in my career, like when I was in my early 20s, I had this brilliant idea, like, oh, what if I just compile all the restrictive covenants of all the neighborhoods? It sounded like a really daunting task, but man, if you did it, and then, somebody much smarter than me was like, well, yeah, but what if there was an amendment? Like, then you have to, how do you keep that up to date? And so then I realized, oh crap, that's not actually as easy as it sounds. But that is an interesting idea, and of course, we'll continue thinking about how do we make that accessible. But yeah, like you said, for now, it's hard to make sure we have actual complete data.
So I'm going to go into a few more use cases before I dive into the additional questions. So some of the other things it can do, right? It can do all of the typical functions that you would expect of an AI agent, which is, tell me how to farm and break into a new market area. Maybe you want to break into a luxury price point. Just ask it how you can establish your presence in those market areas and price points or those zip codes, or even subdivisions, and it'll give you a comprehensive play-by-play plan that you can go ahead and follow and execute. So the other thing that you can do is you can actually have it search online to perform comparable market analysis. So there's different ways we can perform a CMA, right? And because of that, there's ways that maybe you want to perform a CMA. This is the way that I typically do it. It's maybe not the best way. Maybe you guys can do it in a better way. And I'll show you an easy mode button in lieu of this one next. But here you can see what I'm asking it to do is a comparable market analysis for my subject property at full address. And I always want to use the full address, right? Because our system is actually using an agentic web crawler. So when it interfaces with the internet, it's going to be going and taking whatever our input is, and it's going to be putting it intelligently into different interfaces on third-party websites. So here, I always want to use my full address. I want to tell it to search online and then identify all comparable properties currently listed within X radius. So I said the 3 mile radius in this case. Comparables should be within a 10% variance of my subject property square footage. And then I tell it how I want the information to be listed in a table format with my subject property listed first, and then define the dollar per square foot range based on findings. And lastly, provide an estimated range of what the property should be listed at given the findings. And so again, don't stress out about writing down or saving this prompt because I'm going to give you guys access to all of these things too. But what it does is that it does this analysis. It searched through multiple websites like Redfin, Trulia, Zillow, all of those sites. And then it compiles all of the data for me in an easy to read, understandable table format. And then it gives me the direct breakdown of the analysis. And what's cool about this example is that our property appraised right at 303,000, which is smack dab in the middle of the range that was given to us. So, you can always do a level of analysis in different ways, like I mentioned. You can even have it add in a specific section or expand the radius if it's like a rural property, or maybe it has some more intangible type of value add considerations. Like maybe you're in a rural environment and the property has like a workshop or something. So you want to say, make sure that you find properties that are listed and have workshops. Or if there's other unique variables to the properties, like a guest house or a finished basement, include a section and a list of those too. And it can actually do all of that analysis and due diligence for you. And if it's in a unique market area, the other way I've seen this leveraged is people can pull their own comps that they've pulled from their MLS system and then upload it into the platform and say, create a BPO style narrative around the findings here and break down the information so that I can present it to my seller or share it with prospective buyers. However you want to share that information and leverage it. There's so many different ways. And of course, I promised an easy mode button, and you can always just say, something along the lines of, tell me the variables I need to conduct a detailed CMA, right? And it will give you all of the details and everything and say, great, do that for my property at X address, right? And it will factor in all of those items that it just defined for you. So you can always do that too, or say, like, how can you help me do a CMA? How do I do the best CMA possible? Any of those queries, and then respond with your property address. Okay. So beyond its ability to do all of those things was what I teased in the beginning, which was virtual staging. And while most systems you have to give extremely detailed requests, you can literally just say, virtually stage this space. So here you can upload just a vacant room, say virtually stage it, and it will. And then from here, you can always tell it, remove the plants or remove the side table or change the color of the rug to X color. You can do all of those things that you would expect to from a platform, or you could just be happy with it and you could say, you know what? I need to add the words virtually staged to the bottom of this photo so that it's MLS compliant. And then it can do that. Just like that. It's MLS compliant now. So I don't know if you guys have MLS compliant guidelines where you have to write virtually staged on it or what those details are, but if so, just go ahead and ask the system to write that on the photos that's generated, okay? And
By the
just like
way,
it,
we've uploaded the Dorify MLS rules and the Hive MLS rules into the knowledge base. And so if you
nice.
don't know if it's required, you can just simply ask, um, and it will scour the rules and tell you.
Perfect. You did so good at provisioning this account. That's great.
Brian, this is going to put you out of a job. Who
Hey,
who
that's fine.
who are we going to call? Who are we going to call and text with all those questions?
Well, you'll call this with all the questions, and then you can call me just for fun.
There you go.
So, beyond its ability to virtually stage, maybe we've got sellers who, bless their hearts, they tried their best to get the house ready before photos, but they think that this is ready for photos, right? And we see this. And, this is decluttered, but you know what? Let's just input this photo and say declutter this room and remove all the content so it's an empty space. And it's done. So in this way, you can change the colors or change what's inside the room, however you want to do it there. But it has those capabilities. So expand your mind and think about how you can apply this function. And now what I'd like to do is share with you a quick story that is close to me. It's I was the listing agent for a property. And I get a call from the buyer's agent, very typical, we're ready to move forward, except we need to have these 5 items taken care of, right? before we close. And I said, okay, you know what? Just send me the 5 items. Let's take a look together. We'll see what we can do here. So they text me the information. It says they want us to repair 2 outlets, repair or replace both P-traps, corrosion. You know, there's the chimney flues are dirty, repair and replace the functioning exhaust fan in the hall, and then clean the skylights in the entryway porch. Nothing huge there, but still kind of tedious that I'm going to have to now go back and do all of this research and figure out how I'm going to get this stuff done in just a few days here. So what I did was I actually took this and put it into BrokerBot. And to give you guys an idea of the settings I'm in, I'm literally riding in the back seat of my car. I'm feeding my daughter snacks. She's 2 years old, and my wife is driving us home. And so I've got like 10 minutes there. I'm sitting in the back seat just texting, and I've got like 10 minutes before I get home. So what I did was I pulled up BrokerBot. I said, provide an estimated range of values for the handy person to resolve these issues. And then I just pasted those 5 items right into the chat. And then it just started searching the knowledge base, didn't have any sort of numbers, no problem. It still provided a estimated range of values to have those items completed. And then it asked for a little bit of clarification. I said, yes, assume everything is very dirty, listed in an easy to reference table format, include the sum total. I now have this idea in my head about how I want to have the information presented. And so it starts compiling the information, the estimated range, but this isn't super helpful for me. It was like, you know, double. So I'm not going to give my sellers a quote that's like roughly double. I said, provide the same listed information, but only list the higher amounts and a higher sum. Now I've got the items listed. Here's the higher amounts, total high-end estimate. Okay, it's 1,300. This is more reasonable, but this document it now says high-end estimate. I don't like that. That's not something I want to share with my seller. It sounds like they're overpaying. So I said, change that to conservative. It does it. Now I have a clean table format. So what I did was I just screenshotted this in this table format. I sent it to my sellers and I said, hey, is roughly $1,300 within the realm of what you're willing to spend to address these items? Seller said, yep, we actually budgeted about 1,500 to get this done. So if you can do it under that, that'd be amazing. I said, okay, got it. I then cropped out the costs. So then I just had a list of 5 items. I texted it to my handyman. I said, hey, how much to get these 5 items done? He came back. He was like, it's 1350. I said, great. When can you get there? He said, tomorrow, and I'll have it done in 2 days. I said, perfect. Send me the invoice. I notified the agent that we're having them done and that they could do the final walkthrough on Friday. And then I texted back the seller and said, it's all being taken care of. And it's going to be 1350. They were ecstatic. And we pulled into the driveway and I was done. And this was already in process. I had the fix, and I did this all in the backseat of my car while feeding my daughter snacks. You know, it was awesome. It was super time saving. Normally, I would have had to wait until I got home to pull up my computer, build an Excel spreadsheet, make all these phone calls, and do all this stuff. Instead, I started immediately attacking it and handling it on my cell phone, and I had a resolution in place. So now I have the rest of the afternoon to spend with my family. And or if I was one of you guys, maybe I wanted to go out and show more houses or do more business, however you want to leverage that additional time savings. But the point is that this is what our system is about. It's about becoming AI reflexive and doing things and leveraging tools that give us those time savings so that we can leverage that free time to our benefit and however we want. So I just love sharing that story because it hits home to me. And I hope it gives you guys some thoughts and considerations on how you can leverage a tool like this. So with that said, I'll go ahead and hold it there and open it up to questions. And we can go through and answer any Q&As there.
Yeah, first question was about the limit to the number of inquiries, and if so, is that totaled by firm or allocated by individual user?
Yeah. Total, there are what's called credits in the platform. We haven't had a single organization yet even hit that limit. We try to be very generous with those limitations and everything. So, you know, use the system as much as you'd like. Go ahead and put in and ask it to do image generation, create images for, we had people saying create images for Valentine's Day and write an email that I can go ahead and attach the image to and then send out to my SOI. People are leveraging it that way. They're creating articles to send out in their newsletters, right? They're uploading their own headshots and trying to make them look a little bit nicer, put themselves in different environments. And then, of course, the virtual staging. So you have plenty of credits. I'm not concerned about the usage. I will say that the system itself is built primarily around real estate. So if you try to use it to perform an external function that's maybe not real estate related, it'll help you, but it'll gently remind you, do you have any real estate related questions? The other thing is that remember that leadership can see all of your chats. You cannot see each other's chats. But if I click on all chats here, I can see all of the questions that my agents are asking. And we do that intentionally because we want leadership to have insight and into what questions are being asked so that that way they can like understand what classes and materials and things you guys need assistance with. So in this way, it becomes a helpful feedback loop. The more you use it, the more helpful it can be there. And you can see here that there's, real quick while I'm in here, there's a couple of people that called in with the voices, and these numbers are just showing up as numbers, but they're not registered. This means that this is an unregistered user calling in. So whoever called in, make sure that you save the phone number, you register the phone number in your profile because it's only going to be so helpful if you don't register your phone number. So, and yeah, I'm glad I told you guys that. Normally, I tell people about the all chats in the beginning because one time I did a rollout and I went and showed them all chats, and the top thing was like, "How do I make my wife happy?" And as much as I love people leveraging all things to make their family happy, it was just kind of funny.
Yeah, so that I'm going to jump around a little bit. That leads into another question that I'm sure a lot of people have, which is I currently pay for Chat GPT and use it daily to help with cleaning up email responses, creating docs to share with clients, etc. Does this essentially take place of my paid chat subscription? And so you can comment on that, Maximo. I would just say,
Yeah.
like he just said, I theoretically can see all of your chats. Now, clearly, I'm not going to be able to go through everybody's chat, right? That's not part of my daily routine. But this is something that is a brokerage, a company sponsored thing versus the chat GPT you pay for is your personal private thing. So my advice would be that you would keep them both. But Maximo, what's your feedback on that?
Yeah, so the way that I leverage both tools is I have ChatGPT, and I still pay for it too. But the reason is because I use that for all of my personal stuff. Like I'll upload my health reports and things and very personal financials for analysis and details and stuff like that to make it a more collaborative environment for me to leverage AI in those personal ways, right? So anything work related though goes straight in here for me, including just rewriting sentences or emails to my clients and responding. That all goes right into BrokerBot, right into Chat Choice AI. But when it's very personal information, maybe I don't want to have it shared with my broker. Then I'm using the other AI platform.
Um, All right, and then we have how much trust can I put in the system? I don't want to assume something is correct only to find out it is a third eye later. Yeah, great question. And of course, that's maybe the most important thing to me as the owner of the company and the broker in charge. So I just want to comment, and then Maximo, you can expand on that. If you get a response that you're not happy with, it doesn't seem right, or it just doesn't have the answer for you, you can flag that. And I don't know, Maximo, maybe you have some input on the best way, like verbiage wise. What we've told our team, like leadership team, is because as we've been playing with it to try to work out stuff ahead of time, is to basically tell it, hey, this is a training moment. Your answer is wrong. Or the answer is not complete, or I don't trust your answer, or whatever it is. And the system will recognize that as something that needs to be a red flag go up for me to review. So do you want to, I guess, expand or talk about that, Maximo?
Absolutely. So if let's say, let me see, can you guys see this if I type right here? Um, can you guys see the question that I just typed in? Okay.
Is Brian the best broker in the world?
So so let's say I'm not happy with this answer, right? Because Brian is the best broker in the world. So I could say no. Brian is the best broker in the world. Flag this for training. And what this does is that this then flags a message to the broker's training center. And it says that, okay, it looks like the system provided an incorrect response, right? So, or it can also do what's called sentiment analysis. So if it sees that you're very frustrated or you're very pleased with the response, it'll also notify Brian in the training center. And then because Brian has his emails on, it'll actually send him an email notification too. And so the idea behind this is that, again, this is a collaborative environment. And so if you guys notice something is wrong or it's not working right, you can always say, this is a training moment, flag this for training, or that's wrong and it should be this. And you're looking for this training saved so that way it can be evaluated specifically. Now, that said, we also have a comprehensive support for you guys. So you can always click on support. And if you notice something was not working right here in the platform or the answer was really wrong, in addition to flagging it for training, you can always ask us. You can just hit this button, say ask a question, and that'll open up a chat interface. And then Kyle and I, that's the customer success team, we actually go in and we make sure that those answers were provided to you, that you feel satisfied there, or if you need additional instruction, we can help you with that too. And the other cool thing is that here you can go to this help button. And if you press this button right here, you'll actually see all of these help articles and content and tutorials, just like how I did that virtual staging example. There's detailed step-by-step processes here to generate images or to upload something that looks like this. And it's like a normal person's room and it's a little bit cluttered. You see the dog crate there. And then you can remove everything from inside. And then you can stage it. And then you can change the aesthetic to match more of those desert tones. And then, of course, writing virtually staged in the corner or wherever you want to put that text. So we have all of these articles for you guys. And also, there are prompts. So you can literally go here to your prompt guide, and there's all of these prompts that you can just copy and paste directly into the platform here. So we make sure that you guys have tons of resources and assistance available.
And so
Oh,
I'll say I know that most people want, AI tools for all this other stuff. Help me write my description or blog post or scripting or whatever. And that's all, and that's good and it can do all that and that's great. And you'll use it for that. As it pertains to the broker questions, transaction questions, again, I just want to emphasize if you don't think it's right, you let it know that. You might be wrong, or it might be giving you an answer that isn't quite right. Either way, put it in the system, let it know that there's your question. The more we use this, the better it's going to get. We couldn't infinitely anticipate every question we could ever get and give it kind of the proper answer. It formulates really good answers on its own, like any AI. But the nice thing about this is you could always go to ChatGPT at 2 in the morning and ask it a question that you would have otherwise asked me. But the difference was whatever answer you got is the answer you got. There was no opportunity to create a feedback loop whereby we could improve that response or refine it. Now we have that. So that feedback loop is what's so valuable about this, so that the more we use it, the more responses we get to refine, the better. So it's also trained that if you ask a question that is in the legal realm, it's not going to try to give you an answer. It's going to tell you it's not an attorney and you need to reach out to us. So there are guardrails put on it in that respect as well. But if you ask it, hey, what form do I need to use to amend the purchase price? Probably going to give you a pretty good answer. But if it doesn't sound right to you or you have an issue with it, you just flag it and we'll take a look at it.
mhm. And then just to reinforce that, I because that is a question we get a lot, right? We also just never want to blindly, it's what do we say? We say don't trust, verify, right? So in all of our business practices, so don't just blindly accept anything that is outputted on any system or third-party source. When you're doing that analysis there for the like the CCNRs I showed you in the beginning, it calls out the specific article and section so you can actually pull that up and glance at it and look at it and check it to make sure it is correct or in alignment with the response that was output there. So it's still going to be an accelerator, it's still going to be super helpful, but always remember that you guys are the licensed professionals and we have a duty to provide a high level of service to our clients too. Let's see. Does every chat we have on our call save into our desktop and vice versa? Yep, all of your conversations will save directly to your recent chats in the top left-hand corner. Repair estimate, take this account into account location. Yes, you can ask it. I would say for that question, because that's been a commonly asked question too. So far the feedback is that the estimates it provides are very accurate. So I would say just ask it for the estimates and see how it does. Is that normal for what you guys see in the local market area that you practice in? Can non-broker and users purchase a solo plan? Yes, Chad, you can. You can actually upgrade your current plan that's provided to you by the broker into a pro account, which will give you direct connection to your Gmail, Outlook, and your Google Calendar. So hypothetically, you could actually upload a purchase contract and say extract all of the contractually sensitive timelines, create calendar events for all of those timelines, invite my client to all of those events in my calendar that are relevant to them. Now send an email to my client setting expectations and next steps. Now send an email to the title company and lender doing introductions and setting expectations and next steps too. And it can do all of those things with the upgrades. And or you can purchase a solo account. And if you purchased a solo account, it gives you your own knowledge center and training center too. And then what I would recommend if you did that is you'll get to toggle between the accounts up here in the top left. And then you could have your personal one and then your broker one. So in that case, then I would like jump into the broker one for any compliance or related questions. And then you could use the other one for whatever you want. Can non-broker, we just covered that. So the plan, the diamond heist in this tool, since you can see that, got it. That's hilarious. Yes, don't plan the diamond heists in this tool unless you get your own solo account, right? So IDX integrations coming soon. Um, do we have an ARV version of the CMA? Yes, I've actually asked for ARVs to be factored in the analysis, so you could just ask that. Mhm. This is awesome. Love to hear that. Are we allowed to doctor photos that aren't ours? Good answer. Looks like I don't know if this, I mean, we pay our photographers for the service of shooting photos, typically have to pay a big premium for then add virtual staging. Yes. So the idea here is that if you pay your photographer for photos, then you have the rights to those photos. I don't know if you're signing, I don't know the terms and conditions of your agreements with your photographers, but for me, this saved me $50 to $60 in my own listing photos too, because I didn't have to ask him for virtual staging anymore. So instead, I would take his photos and then those that needed virtual staging, I put them into the platform and then I had them virtually staged myself. And then I put them on the
Yeah,
listing.
yeah. I mean, this is like if you were using Box Brownie before, now
Yes,
you would just use this instead of Box Brownie.
exactly. Um, how do you get to the help section? You just click on support right there. And then do we have projects for specific listings? So yeah, you could always go and you can actually search through your chat history. You can name your chats and rename them so they're easily identifiable in the future. So then that way, some agents will actually do that. They'll name the chat, the property address that they're working on, and then that way they can just find it easily. So they can just bebop back into their chats, respectively, to run cost sheet estimates and all those things. Kathleen, yes, the chats are private to other agents. You cannot see each other's chats, but Brian, the broker owner, can see all chats. And that covers it. So what I'd like to do is just make sure you guys understand that Brian spent a lot of time vetting this. He worked really hard in getting this set up, him and leadership. So make sure you guys tell him thank you. He's been awesome to work with, and he's actually one of the, I'd say he's definitely one of the top most AI savvy individuals we've ever worked with in terms of those brokers. He just dove into the platform, and during our first meeting, he was like, "Okay, yeah, I figured it all out." And we were like, "Okay, that's amazing." So he worked really hard on this. So make sure you tell him thank you for all of his hard work too, and for giving you guys access to this amazing tool. So
Thank you for that. And
yeah,
I know there are still questions coming in. We'll address these as we go. This won't be the last time we talk about this.
yeah,
I will just say that there are the platform, when you create something like this, you have to actually start the platform. And you can't say, well, everything I'd ever want to do, I'm going to wait till that's doable to create it. So things like connecting to Canva and some of this other stuff that has come in, like these are all projects that are on the big board that will get worked on, and we'll roll out. There will continue to be updates to this. And like any AI thing, there'll be things we'll work through, and we're excited. So we appreciate you, Maximo. Thanks for coming on and spending some time with us.
yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, you guys.
All right. Yeah. See you guys. Bye, everybody.
Bye.